Welcome to the Anxiety Attic, where I make self-help videos for anxiety disorders. Some of my subscribers asked me to make a video about whether probiotics can help anxiety. If you suffer anxiety, there is always someone ready to sell you the latest miracle cure. But as my subscribers know, I like to look at the clinical evidence and present it to you in an easy to understand way so you can make a decision for yourself. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. By now, most people know that our gut is full of millions of bacteria, mostly good bacteria and some bad bacteria. This mix of bacteria is called your microbiota. There have been a number of studies in recent years investigating if your microbiota can affect anxiety, and whether the use of probiotics to change your microbiota could be an effective treatment for anxiety. Firstly, let's look at whether gut bacteria even plays a part in anxiety. A lot of studies on this subject use germ-free mice. These are mice that have no bacteria in their gut at all. In this study, they stressed the germ-free mice by restricting their access, and then measured the stress response. When compared to other mice that had healthy microbiota, the germ-free mice showed a much higher release of stress hormones. This shows that healthy microbiota are required for regulating the stress response. But, of course, there is no such thing as germ-free humans. So surely our microbiota would ensure that our stress systems don't malfunction. Well, this study showed that when rats are stressed, changes in their microbiota occur, which in itself affects how well the rats respond to stress. But interestingly, another experiment on rats that had been separated from their mothers showed that they had normal levels of stress hormones if treated with a specific probiotic during the early phases of the stress. Another problem with stress is it can make the lining of the gut leaky, and this can also affect the body's stress management system, leading to anxiety. But taking certain probiotics seems to protect against a leaky gut developing. Now, this all sounds very promising, at least for rats who suffer anxiety. But in science, good news is often followed by bad news. A test used to indicate how anxious a rat is the Elevated Plus maze test. Anxious rats will spend most of the time in the enclosed areas of the maze where they feel safe, whereas confident rats will explore the open areas of the maze. Germ-free rats rarely leave the safety of the enclosed areas because their stress systems are oversensitive. But if their microbiota was changed to that of a normal rat at 6 weeks old, which is equivalent of a young adult in human terms, then they ventured confidently into the more open areas of the maze. But if researchers did not change their microbiota until 14 weeks, then the rats stayed as anxious as when they were germ-free. This suggests that whether a rat develops an anxious personality or not depends on its gut bacteria in early life. Now, I mentioned that in our gut there are good bacteria and bad bacteria and various other tiny organisms, and it seems that bad organisms can also cause increased anxiety, as shown by this study. By introducing a parasite that causes inflammation to the gut of mice, these researchers found that mice wanted to stay in the dark areas of the box where they felt safe, and they showed little interest in exploring. The good news is that when they treated the mice with the probiotic Bifidobacterium longum, the rats would spend more time exploring the light area, a sign of reduced anxiety. This role of inflammation in causing anxiety is interesting, as low-level inflammation of the gut is also associated with irritable bowel syndrome, which is very common in people with anxiety. And for those interested in that subject, I will put a link to my video on anxiety and IBS at the end. So all this is very interesting for rats, but what about humans? Unfortunately, there is much less research for humans, but what there has been shows promise. Like this study that found that anxiety and depression reduced over time in subjects given the probiotic Lactobacillus helveticus and Bifidobacterium longum. And another encouraging study was this one that used prebiotics and then measured cortisol levels in saliva, which is an indicator of stress or anxiety. A prebiotic encourages growth of beneficial probiotic bacteria. The study found that the use of prebiotic not only reduced cortisol levels, but subjects also showed a reduced anxiety response in tests known as a dot probe test. Before I conclude, a couple of other interesting points. Some studies in rodents have shown certain probiotics as effective as a well-known antidepressant in reducing anxiety. And this may be because the probiotic bacteria may be involved in helping the body produce serotonin. Most antidepressants work by increasing serotonin levels in the brain. And if that's an area that interests you, see the link I've posted on that subject at the end of this video. So all this is very encouraging. Does that mean you should start taking probiotics for your anxiety? Unfortunately, here we run into a number of problems. 1. Research on probiotics is still relatively new. 2. Probiotics are not regulated like medicines are. 3. There are many different species of probiotic bacteria, so which one should you take? 4. There are many manufacturers of probiotics, and a study by University College London found that many of them do not reach the gut alive and fail to populate, so they are effectively useless. 5. There are many factors that may affect whether a probiotic will help: age, sex, lifestyle, diet, and medications, and possibly even what mix of bacteria you typically have in your gut. 6. Are probiotics even safe? Most literature I have found on probiotics generally considers them safe, but I have seen a few suggesting that there may be some risks and side effects, particularly in people with existing severe illness or compromised immune systems. And of course, if probiotics are not regulated, then you never really know what's in them. With such uncertainty, a much safer way of treating anxiety is CBT, which has many years of evidence showing it is an effective treatment for most people. And that's why most of the 100 or so videos I've made on anxiety are CBT based. So please check out and subscribe to my channel. As for probiotics, whether you take them or not has to be a personal choice. I've taken them in the past, not for anxiety, but for my wheat intolerance and IBS, and they didn't seem to help at all. My personal preference would be to consume probiotic foods like kefir and sauerkraut, as these are natural and have been consumed safely for thousands of years. But the choice is yours. I hope the information I have provided has helped. If so, please give me a like. Here are the links to the videos I mentioned earlier. This one tells you about the link between anxiety and IBS. And this one asks whether what your doctor tells you about anxiety being caused by low serotonin is as straightforward as they sometimes lead you to believe.